everyone. Welcome to today's episode of My Project Hell. I'm Kelly Schockler, and this time we've got something a little bit different in store for you in this next 20 minutes, but it's still something we know you're going to find practical, interesting, and helpful for wherever you're at in your project management journey.
And I'm Paul Thompson. We are going to be skipping in this episode the hot topic section so we can spend a little more time with our guests. But I promise you, we will get back to vendor management next time. So now, as we talk to our guests, please, I encourage you guys to join in the conversation by using the chat session. Put in there your thoughts to share with everyone as we go through this episode. And if you have any questions specifically for Kelly or I, throw those in the Q&A, and if we have chance, we'll get to those. So let's start by skipping hot topic and welcoming Sarah to the program. Excuse me. Sarah started out in her career as a teacher, and wow, I really got to learn to read better. So Sarah started out as a teacher, and it's one of the few careers that I got to tell you takes more patience and understanding than project management. But there aren't a lot, right? As Sarah's family changed, so did her career path, and she shifted into healthcare insurance. And there she was able to join the project management, and really under some great mentors, and she was able to grow her career to the point where now she's managing project managers and leading her own PMO. So welcome, Sarah. If I didn't butcher that too badly, I hope.
Nope, you did a great job. Thanks, Paul and Kelly. Appreciate being here.
Oh yeah, so thank you for coming on. Paul and I were thinking, what could we do different in the show? Because we like mixing it up. It's nice to have our coach's corner with project managers, but we thought about what could be helpful for project managers if we brought in someone who's climbed the ladder, so to speak, or gone through the job family of project management, and just bring some insights in from that perspective. So thank you for being here. And so we have some questions for you.
Okay.
So when we think about the project management officer, the PMO, at least in my experience, it's always about what the PMO can do for the organization, right? That's the perspective. And Paul and I are wondering, what does the PMO bring for the project manager? Like what's the benefit there? And wondering if you could share your insights from what you've seen as in your experience and journey that would answer that.
Well, what first comes to mind for me for the project manager is that it really provides the ability to sort of maintain those best practices and standardized controls in place so that the business knows what the expectations are from a consistency standpoint. And in addition to that, I would say that the PMO provides a place where you can come and bring your knowledge together. You can process stuff together. You can share your techniques, what your area of expertise, as your area of expertise grows in the field, and really work through some of those challenges as you execute projects. But also, when I think about the PMO that I'm managing, we talk a lot about, probably the most thing that we talk about is the challenging stakeholders at play, and how can we navigate them? How did you get this person to click or work with this person, or what's the trick with this person? Because I'm sure everyone on this call knows there's always one, and oftentimes more than one.
So you really see it as an opportunity to develop a team and people to support the project managers to support themselves through the PMO.
Sure, yeah. And in addition to that, we also are able to make connections between projects and the dependencies, better understand those dependencies between the various projects so that we can execute in the best methodology that suits the type of project, whether that be Agile, Scrum, Waterfall, a hybrid, etc. Right? So
the cornucopia of frameworks.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea of how you've got the collective whole coming together, and you're a good PMO, you're helping to support each other. You've got different knowledge from wherever you're working that you can bring in. And that's saved my bacon a lot and being able to get someone else's experience as I'm heading into the storm, say, hey, watch out for that big whirlpool over there. So
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. Well, keeping on this theme of looking at it from the project manager side, what do you think is the most valuable thing that a PM should learn or have experience in order to basically take your role and become a manager or director in a PMO?
That's a tough one to think of one most valuable thing, because really it's an endless list, right? So the one thing that rises sort of to the top of my mind is really around people management. So think of how you manage your customers, your suppliers, your functional managers, how you engage with the SMEs and just the whole project team as a whole. This lens doesn't include sort of those HR functions that a PMO manager would have, but really the people management is about balancing the leadership, effective communication, problem solving, conflict management, how you're thinking creatively, time management. So it kind of takes you back to that endless list. And it's really about moving from managing the different people aspects of a project to where a PMO manager adds in those HR functionalities, which depending on the team could be a learning curve. But the PMO manager really is that shift between your project people management directly to your team. So the focus becomes, how do you pull a diverse group working together on different projects together to help them grow individually, but also as a team?
So what's one of your tricks for doing that? Because that sounds like you've nailed the crux of it.
It's a challenge, right? And it really depends on the people that are on your team. One of the things that the team that I'm leading, we've grown a lot, and we've really worked on a lot of trust and vulnerability. And one of the components to how we've sort of developed that is coming together and working towards common goals, because we all are managing our own different projects. We're not working on the same work per se. So that's been one avenue. We've done book studies together, and really trying to figure out how we support one another. And sort of the motto on our team is, you fail, I fail. If you win, I win. And that's for everyone. It's not manager versus team member, it's team to team. Mm-hmm. How do we support and grow each other?
I like that you're mentioning the trust factor, because I think that's really helps drive accountability with one another. I don't know, what have you found in your experience?
Absolutely. I think that on all of the project management teams that I've been on, there's been an element of trust, and the teams that seem to be the most high performing, the highest functioning, have the highest degree of trust. And if it's not, I think it takes the leadership of the manager to do that, but also the vulnerability of the people on the team. But it's, how does that manager create that space, that safe zone for that? And it's not easy. It takes time and a lot of hard work. So if you find that on a team, I would tell you, latch onto it, grab onto it, and learn all you can on how that manager executes and performs and their thinking behind what they're doing. I've had it once in my career, and I learned a lot from that person. And I always put on that manager's hat and say, what would so-and-so do in this instance when I come up against a struggle? And then I've also found other mentors along the way that I have on my 411. Hey, this is happening and I don't know what to do, but it's a trusted place. So if you can find those, not even from a manager lens, but just as a project manager, find those mentors to help you through that, because you can't know it all. You can't do it alone. It really does take a village.
And I bet that it's helpful because you have been, again, you came through the job family of project management. So you've been a project manager, you've been a project coordinator, the the different hardships and obstacles and things that those roles deal with. So do you feel like that makes you a better manager, having had the experience?
For sure. I mean, I think in any role, if you've had the experience there, it will help you be better at whatever it is that you're doing or managing. I think as a manager, a critical component is probably empathy, right? Like, how do you empathize with those things that your people are doing, and how do they know you have their back? Again, we've worked really hard at that in my team a lot, and it's taken time. No one ever sends you to manager school, or at least I didn't have that opportunity. But I treat my team like how I would want to be treated, and I value every member of my team. I want to be valued. So, how do I meet people where they are? How do we work together to grow up and develop you? If you grow out of my team per se, and you just spread your wings and flourish, hey, that's awesome. I'm here for you and support you. Because really that's the ultimate goal. So I mean, I kind of took us off topic a little bit, Kelly, but it's really just feeling like you got their back, and you're supporting them with whatever comes their way. And project management is not easy. When they say herding wet cats, it truly is. And your ability to control is very small. You don't have the stick over people's head to beat them on the head per se, but you've got to try to navigate and influence a lot of different people and personalities and priorities, and it's hard. So just trying to be there for the team and work together.
So thank you for sharing that. Paul and I were also when we were thinking of questions we wanted to ask you, we were curious about when you're looking to hire into your PMO, whether it's a project manager or a project coordinator, do you have 3 to 5 things that you look for that they're deal breakers? If those candidates don't have those things,
they're out.
What are they? So just as I know that, Paul and I are coming across a lot of people who are looking for work. I think there's a lot of project management jobs out there, but some people aren't having the success of landing the role. What would you say?
Yeah, there's a handful of things that I'm looking for, and it's really hard because you have a slice of time, right? Like 30 to 60 minutes to try to understand the experience of this person and what value that they will bring, and are they able to articulate and showcase it? That's hard, right? For anyone to be able to do. And then for me as the hiring manager to even evaluate and better, do I really understand what they're trying to tell me? And we don't get to have like this long conversation per se over a period of time to really better understand their experience. It's a short period of time. So in that short period of time, I think there's a few things I'm looking for. One, team building capabilities. How do you bring a diverse group of people to work together towards a common goal, who are going to face challenges along the way? What do they do to bring the best out in others, especially those who are difficult and challenging? So I want to hear about those circumstances. The other piece I would say is, what are your influencing skills? You will not make everyone happy. So, which we all try, and there's always some that aren't going to love it, and they're going to resist change. So how do you negotiate with those? We call them B1 bombers. So
That's great.
Right? I mean, the B1 bombers are those people who are highly influential that can derail a project in literally a blink of an eye. So how do you work with them, get them on your side in the beginning, and how can you influence them so that midway or 3/4 of the way through the project, you're not coming to, a screeching halt because 1 or 2 people have now, derailed you. So I want to know your influencing skills. The other piece that I would say I'm looking for is, how do you problem solve and think creatively? Challenges are always going to happen. Dates will be missed, expenses are going to increase, resources will be unavailable, and the list goes on, right? So how do you use yourself and your project team to think creatively and solve those challenges or problems that will arise? And then I'd also say cultural fit, which is probably a no-brainer. But I don't want someone on my team who is not able to adapt to the culture that they'll be working in, because they're going to be frustrated. They're going to be dissatisfied. They're not going to be committed. And it's not a win-win for any of us. So I want to see, do you have those soft skills, those soft behaviors already in place? Because I can teach you the hard skills. I can teach you the technical stuff. Or maybe the stuff that's weird or unique to our organization, but I can't really teach you those behavioral soft skills that's going to help you navigate within the organization. And really that comes down to sort of, do you have this sense of humbleness and self-awareness as you can execute? And then the very last thing I'm looking for, and again, this is all really hard, right, to find in a 30-minute period, but do you have drive and a strong work ethic? Because the flow of projects, right? You're going to have highs and you're going to have lows. And are you willing to roll up your sleeves during those highs and put in a little extra here and there and get the work done? Or are you just checking a box and doing the minimum required? So.
Wow, that's a great list.
Yeah.
It's hard to find all that, right? And trying to ask the right questions and articulate so I can get a well-rounded perception of each candidate.
Well, I'm curious. So I love your discussion around, fitting into the culture and having that, because I agree. It's probably one of the things that can derail a person as quick as anything. How do you convey your team's culture to someone in an interview? Because they're obviously looking back at you and going, well, is this a culture I want to go into? What do you mean you work 80 hours a week and I have to, stand on my head and drink, whatever.
Kombucha.
Right.
Kombucha.
Yeah, I think it really ties back to sort of the influencing skills and, how do you move a team forward? On my team, again, we've worked really hard at this, but we can put ourselves in a pretty vulnerable place. And so by your answers and how vulnerable you are willing to go with me kind of helps me gauge that a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not easy, right, to always talk about your faults or your troubles or your hardships, but that is what helps me help you, or know whether or not this is going to be a fit for you. And I certainly would not want to have someone on the team that is going to struggle, knowing that they're going to struggle in a place where I can help them through that.
Right. But it's always hard to ask, a question like, tell me your biggest weakness, right?
Right.
All the
Right.
hokey
right.
HR
Yes.
questions.
I'm really looking at it from a perspective, how do you describe your projects to me, right? Like the stuff that you've executed, I'm trying to look at, oh, that was an influencing skill, or you pulled people together, or you were trying to do this by yourself and it didn't work well, did it? So.
Yeah, and then you went and you found your manager, your mentor, who you can express that story about how they kind of looked at it, twisted it for you, and you could go back, someone that you see you can then have training and mentoring with.
Right.
That is great. So go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, I was just going to say, we have a few minutes left, and I have one more question that I want to put your way, Sarah, and that is, what's the one thing up and coming project managers need to understand about the role of a PMO manager? So for those folks who are, traveling along the job family and they are aspiring toward leading a PMO, what do they need to understand about that role from your perspective?
Well, while I would say it's probably not up and coming, I view my role as a manager, or in the manager role, as a coach, a mentor, and a support to help you grow and develop. And so again, if you succeed, I succeed. And conversely, if you fail, I have failed. And it's really hard to coach and mentor someone when I'm really not part of the work that you do directly. I don't sit in on my project manager's everyday work, right? And so I need you to include me in some fashion. So tell me about the details, the struggles, your accomplishments. What are you working through? What are your challenges? And I know that that's hard to do. I'm not good at doing that either with my own manager, right? Because there's fear of judgment and feeling like I'm incompetent or I can't handle this. And again, it really goes back to that trust and vulnerability aspect. But hopefully you have a manager or a safe zone where you can do that. And when you let me into your vulnerability place, I can better partner with you to really help you grow and develop or plan your growth and development plan to where you are today, to where you need or want to be. And I think that is what kind of helps you get on that trajectory of moving up.
Wow. That is great. Just, do you schedule regularly with your team members, or is, lots of drive-bys? What's your best way of kind of reaching in to kind of find those moments that you can help them?
I do have regular one-on-ones with my team scheduled, and some team members have more frequently than others. I leave it up to the team. If you want weekly, we can meet weekly. If you want every other week, we can do that. I do try to do at least every other week. Working remote has definitely put an interesting twist on things. And so as a manager, I've really had to work hard at being more intentional about connecting with people because those drive-bys aren't there. So whether it's an all group chat or bringing people together or doing some sort of an activity or just poking in on Teams messaging, hey, how's it going? It's really had to be intentional on my behalf. And I've had to work at that. And when I see or hear other managers talk about their teams feeling really disconnected, or, working remote isn't working, and I kind of raise an eyebrow because I think my team hasn't, while we missed that, physical interaction, I don't think we missed a beat because we've all been really intentional about connecting and communicating with each other. So in addition to our one-on-ones, we do team huddles twice a week, plus a team meeting in the middle of the week.
That is great. And I could keep asking and talking with you because I'm finding your conversation fascinating, but we've already blown past our time.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
I don't know how we can thank you enough. I mean, this has been very insightful.
I appreciate your time. All right.
Appreciate you bringing your experience to the foray here. And we hope that everyone will join us in our next episode in a couple weeks, where Paul and we will kick around that hot topic of vendor management. And we'll have someone in our coaches corner. Quick reminder, fill out our survey here at the end of the session. And Paul, do you have a few other ideas here to share?
Yes, please. We've had a great time and we loved having Sarah. That was a phenomenal conversation. You guys can catch all the replay of this and other episodes over on My Project Hell on our YouTube channel. Feel free to go out to our website. You can catch time with us, Kelly or I, for a half-hour consultation on any topic you need. Please don't hesitate.
All right, everyone, take care. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.